Hello, our truth warriors, and welcome back to our first interview of 2023. And I am still in awe that we're actually still doing this and waiting for a mass global change. I was just speaking to our guest then, saying, well, 6 months maybe doing a podcast, but now this is into year three. It's quite surprising. But to get back into the battle, who better to have with us again than a tough doctor who not only cheated death with true determination and did everything that was expected of herself, but unexpected by others, to recover from the serious injury following a plane crash. We have missed having her on the Atlantic Underground podcast, and we're so happy she's able to come back and talk to us again. It's great to see you looking so well, Dr. Carrie Madej. Hello again.
How you doing, Chris? Great to be back with you. Happy to be here.
It's great. Now, 2022 has passed us now, and tell us what your year was like and what your focus is for 2023.
Oh, well, the last year, what really was obviously the major pinnacle was on June 26th, I was a passenger in a small plane and it crashed in Georgia. And so that was pretty surreal. And and the pilot, we were injured seriously. And there were many miracles that happened that day. And I am now walking on my own, and I still have to recover more. But that was definitely so many things to learn from that, so many things to experience from that. And it's the power of God, the power of prayer, the will that we each one of us has is important. So I'm back, and I'm speaking with more righteous anger in a good way and more passion, and I'm just excited to see what this year brings.
Yeah. Now, you weren't trying to take down them guide stones, were you?
Now, they were taken down right after. that was literally like what, within a week, I think, of that crash, they were taken down.
That's it.
But no, that was more south. I didn't make it there.
Right. I mean, surviving a plane crash is something many do not actually get to talk about. How are you now after this? And do you think that there was any possible foul play at hand in regards to what happened?
Physically, yeah, I'm improving well. I don't know if I really went through mentally what happened yet, because it's been so much adrenaline getting better. I'm sure that will come. And then as far as the investigation, well, I'm the only one that remembers everything, and they have not asked me for my statement. The NTSB, which is in charge of investigations of plane crashes, they're above the FAA. The FAA just kind of got them to push aside, and they're taking care of it. But they won't interview me, won't answer my phone call. And the preliminary report was really pathetic. So no, the truth won't come out. But
yeah,
that's okay. Just go on, move forward.
And I used to do a little bit of flying myself, and the best person to know exactly what's going on, because they've got the finger on the pulse in that regard, is always the pilot. And obviously your relationship with the pilot is quite strong. Did they
I
give
have not talked to the pilot since the week after the accident
you haven't?
or the crash? No.
No. And you've not been able to speak to them, or do you think you're being hindered in being able to speak to them, or is it just something that you just need time to do?
I think that I want to go forward in truth. So whoever is in truth, I will go forward.
That sounds perfect.
And that's not in truth.
Now, I am seeing yet another push for masking in the UK and other places, as well as another propaganda push for the vaccines. Are there enough people aware now of the problems that this campaign will eventually fail?
Well, I think as time goes on, we're seeing two camps dividing further and further, two main camps, those that are still thinking for themselves, and then those that have succumbed to just, I'm okay with being a slave. You just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And, with that group of people that have just agreed to be in that situation, I mean, it's up to them. We have free will, what they want to do. I don't think we're going to change them. And so, as we go along this divide further, we have to start thinking, how are we going to live in the same world when we're so different?
Yeah.
And to me, we're going to have to make a parallel way of living. That's the only answer to it.
Yeah.
So, we're going to see that divide happen further and further. Sure.
Yeah. And from what I'm seeing anyway, with energy changes and things going on in the world anyway, this is a natural divide regardless of what's gone on over the 3 years. This is something that people are definitely going to be facing with the changes that are up ahead anyway. It just seems to have been brought a little bit closer for somebody else's benefit than it would have been if it was allowed to just naturally progress and people would change with the Earth's energy as it moves on.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of things going on, of course, and if you're a person like me, I believe in our Father Creator, and I believe in the scriptures, and then there are those that don't believe in that. So that's a huge difference of how we live and how we think. So again, that's going to be a separation. I believe there's a battle of good and evil right now that's getting to a crescendo. So of course, two different sides, two different ways of being, human and then anti-human. It's the polar opposites of everything. So that's why, as we see these years go on, we're going to see that divide grow greater and greater. That's why we have to have strength right now and grow roots deep. To me, I don't know how people are dealing with this without having a relationship with God.
Yeah.
It's the only way I'm getting through it, because it's going to get crazier. It's not going to just be okay one day when somebody's elected, because there's going to be a breaking point at some future time in the near future, whether it's financial or just because the two sides are so different. There's openly satanic rituals going on now, satanic after school programs. I mean, we cannot continue to live with each other and not say a word about this. Yeah. That's not going to happen. So something's going to break. So it's all about, do you have a support system? Do you have your roots deep so that you're not going to get shaken when this happens?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, not only physically, but mentally for people, as you said, this is going to be very difficult. We've reached a point now, I believe there's over 17,000 doctors and scientists and medical experts that have come out and spoken out against what's going on. This can only go on for so long before the amount of people involved with this causes such a deluge that it can't be ignored by those that have been choosing to ignore it for so long now.
Well, yeah, of course. We just can't keep living like this. This is just this holding tank that we're in right now.
Yeah. No.
You can't expect to wait for something or somebody to fix the problem. If you're that person that does that, you are really just a slave, and you're going to get what a slave gets. You have to be proactive right now, this very moment, thinking about, how do you want your life to be? How do you want to live? And start doing those things right now, physically doing them, living around like-minded people, making sure, local farmers, getting jobs where you're not having to be dependent on the government, things like that, or learning skill sets, just different things like that. We all have to start being accountable and responsible for things.
That's it. And the government would absolutely love the ultimate dependency from people, where they get to control the lives at an even deeper level. And, I'm sure that is part of the major goal that they want anyway.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
To me, I always tell people I've had a glimpse into the future, and I don't really have really human words for it, because this is just Satan is the greatest of deceivers and liars. And this is this is like a wooing process. If you think this is not good, you have no idea what the future holds once they have you ensnared in the system that they plan for people, which is the digital world, the transhumanism, drawing you into that. Right now, they're being nice. They're being nice. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
This is nothing compared to what they will do once they truly understand that they have you in their snare. And so it's kind of my plea to people to really think about what they're just going along with. This isn't like past generations. This is very different. And the answer is simple. The answer is to not comply and to start, being a little creative about just not being dependent on the government and going and meeting with like-minded people. So it's important that people understand that we are living, important time of history, probably the most important time of history right now.
Yeah, and I'm no doubt that we were sent back for that reason, to be here, experience it, be part of it, and play our part within that as well. So, you and me are both doing that.
Yeah, it's about saving souls, making sure people don't, not making sure, but it's their choice, but trying to get them to see that there's something bigger than what is at the surface going on right now.
Yeah, I was watching something that was talking about, the contents of the vaccine, the likelihood that the vaccine was put together, manufactured, sent out using dark magic itself, and that there's not only within the nanotechnology that's within there that is going to be used to help humanity as a platform, link into more of these electronic devices. But not only that, that it was a potential allowance for dark entity attachment onto people who are taking this, and it obviously lowers their vibration down to a level, not only through illness and fear and misery, but just by having it in your blood system as well, and it managing to change things genetically, that it's opening the doors to things that people shouldn't be allowing into their lives. And again, we're talking about the deception and the darkness and the things that are taking hold of people. And this, in my way, could also explain some rather erratic behavior from many people around the world that we're seeing.
Yes, there's lots of witchcraft and occultism involved. We have to realize we were born into a world of witchcraft, really, if you look at it. And they use the symbolism in our faces. They use the number 666 everywhere, including the vaccines. They used a synthetic nucleoside, so it's something that's synthetic, not from nature, a building block in this synthetic DNA that they're using, RNA. And there's a symbol that they use for that called psi. It's the Greek letter, and the Greek letter looks like a pitchfork. And that symbol has been known to be used for eons for dark magic occultism. It means chaos, which is, equivalent to Lucifer, Satan. And of course, they use the word Lucifer over and over again. Many people who've gotten these shots have said they feel like they have thoughts that aren't their own. But of course, they're using black magic occultism. It's there if you look for it. It is a battle of good and evil.
Yeah, and as you say, the chaos side of things, ordo ab chao being the motto for order out of chaos, which is linked directly into a lot of these secret societies and the movements that are very likely behind the infrastructure of what we are part of currently.
Yeah, and I tell people it's one of the most important things right now is to learn our real history. So with, going back to 1666, so it's 1666, again, that number again, that's the year. In London, England, there was a crazy fire that burned up 80% of the city. They said it was just like a bakery fire, which is impossible. That must have been planned. On the same time, the bubonic plague was going on. It was around the holidays, and they illegally passed something through their parliament, which is very important people know, it created something called a Cesta QV trust, which what they did is they made it so that each person that is born then becomes also a way to make money, commodity. And it still exists to this day. And so anybody who's a colony, and according to this system right now, the United States is still their colony,
Yeah.
the colony. So it starts from that to understand what has happened. Why do we have social security numbers? Why do we have all these things? They trade us on a stock market. There are apps you can look and see how you're being traded. You're being traded and made money for. So anyway, looking at that history and how it led to, at least in the United States, knowing how we became a true corporation, and how there are two of each person. There's me, the living, breathing woman, and then there's me, the fictitious me. And this is how they can do things that are illegal, and this is how justice is not served, because they won't do it to your living, breathing body, but they will do it to the all caps name of yours, the social security number, the trust, the way that they make money off of you. So when you know that, and you're like, okay, I get what you're doing, and you separate away and you just become the living, breathing woman or the living, breathing man, and you have to be really educated about this, it actually takes the power away of them having ability to do anything they want to you. So to me, this is the key in going forward. And this is what I'm focusing on, educating people in this new year about how to do that. You can take that many different ways. A lot of people are becoming something called a state national, where you're completely separating away. You can still travel and do things like that, but you're no longer tied to the corporation of the United States, just to the original jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Using words are powerful. And so this also is scriptural. It goes back into the Bible, where it says that we have authority and dominion over the world. And so it's a big topic, but learn the history, learn the power of words, how they've been used against us. Learn how there are three jurisdictions going on, and that the jurisdiction that oppresses and suppresses us is called maritime law. And in this world, we're all dead. They consider us all dead people. Yep. And so when you understand that and know how they're twisting things around and separate yourself lawfully and legally, you actually then step into truly the kingdom of God, the living world. So there are only two kingdoms. There's a kingdom of Babylon, kingdom of God. And the courts acknowledge that, whether it's UK, Canada, any of the British colonies, and of course the UK and the United States. So it's actually something that the elitist group knew about the whole time. That's why they're not part of anything we do. Yeah. They're not slaves. It's actually looking and seeing how they've enslaved us and going, oh, okay, I know what you're doing. And now I declare who I am. And I'm telling you, putting you on notice. I mean, if only a small group of us even did that, that is incredibly powerful. Yeah. And that's, to me, this is the most exciting thing that I've really discovered and been working on. It's just declaring it and writing, putting people on notice, courts, medical boards, etc., telling them how it's going to go. Yeah. It's powerful. It's a catharsis.
Yeah. We interviewed a gentleman probably a couple of years ago now, Cal Washington, and we discussed with him again, all the different things within maritime law, lex mercatoria, everything that goes right, as you say, right down to the birth certificates being printed actually on monetary paper with the watermarks and the stamps and everything within them. We've had the world create everything that we see. It's one big, huge corporation. Even, the countries that we live in. And when we get into the languages of law itself, the legalese and the languages that are used within court systems, by lawyers, by police and enforcement officers, it's a completely different language that people don't realize sounds very similar to what we do. So if, a police officer would ask you, do you understand? Most people would think that he is asking, do you comprehend what it is he is saying? Where in fact, when he says, do you understand? He is asking if you stand under his authority. And once you agree that you understand, you then give them the power to use that authority over you with your full acquiescence. And this is something that I have looked into for many, many years now. I've probably keep dipping my toe back in the water with this kind of law and legal system probably for 15 years now. And it is, I find it massive once you get into it, the information and everything that's out there. But it's never as simple as people think to go and use. It's because the system is always going to continue to fight back, deny the authority that people actually have as a sovereign body. And it's quite an interesting thing to look at and get into. I've used it for certain things over the years and had success with it. I've seen people that have gone in fighting things such as taxes and have been, given the ability to not pay taxes or certain things and, moving forward. But then you'll always find that the legal system, because they're very underhanded and dirty, will always come back and find something else legally to challenge these people. It's almost, they're like a dog with a bone. They don't let it go once you start challenging these things. But as you say, if enough people can master this, look into it, try and figure out how it affects their lives, putting this into action, certainly on a grander scale, could make a huge impact on the world around us.
I think it's the only way.
Yeah.
And it's also, each person can't just take a template and copy it. It won't work. And that's how a lot of people fail.
Yeah.
You have to take the time, and it's going to take time to educate yourself about the history, know it well, know these words, get the Black's Law Dictionary, know how they use it against you, know how to speak, know how to write. It's an education, but it's empowering. And so each person, as you're doing it, it transforms you, because you can say a word, but unless you say it with your belief in being and intention, it doesn't hold weight.
Yeah.
And when you say it with belief and intention, it has power. Just like in the beginning, there was the word was with God, the word is God, right? The word was with God in it. Same thing. It's about the power of the word that you're using, and you're claiming it. It's a whole, you are becoming the words that you speak. It's like scripture. And I believe the other, to me, the other weakness other people did is they simply focused on common law, not trust law, which is God's law. But if you combine the common law with the constitutional common law with the trust, with God's law, wow, now that is powerful, because those two jurisdictions trump their maritime jurisdiction, and that even in their dictionaries, the living, breathing woman or man that align themselves with spirit, and they believe that they come from their daughters or sons of the creator God, they are of a different jurisdiction than the secular person. They don't have the same rules. Even in Black's Law Dictionary says that.
Yeah.
So you combine it with the scripture, because you are truly a son or a daughter of God, like I am. There's power with that. And it's about you knowing it and claiming it. So this is a whole different transformation than you just following some template online and just doing it. Plus, if you have one foot in Babylon, one foot in God's kingdom, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to have problems, just like you said. It's an all or nothing thing. Yes, you do it stepwise fashion, but if you continue to use both and not understand how to change hats, that's the way that you can get drawn in and it won't work. Yeah. It does work if you really understand it, though, but it takes some time. I'm not going to lie about that, but I'm tired of always having that chain around my neck. I'm tired of being reactionary, only waiting for the next hammer to fall and all I'm doing is trying to help people. I'm tired of that. My whole life has been like that. I'm tired of being a slave. And I know that there is a better way. And so this is no longer doing it. I'm claiming it. I'm being it. I'm owning it. And it's the hill I'm going to die on. I'm willing to die on.
Absolutely. And, with this multi-pronged attack, this is just one facet of the attacks that we have upon us. Can you explain to people watching how we're being deliberately poisoned and how they are actually doing it?
Well, they've been doing that forever, but they've been poisoning the water since we've been having written history. And right now, arsenic is used ubiquitously in the water, which is cancer causing and prevents you from assimilating, makes you sick. They use lots of poisons that you can't even test in a water. If you test your water, it won't show up. They don't even have tests for these poisons. They've done this forever. Fluoride is used to dumb us down, to make us numb, to make us docile, all kinds of things like that. So there's water, air, they have the geoengineering with the sprays that you see in the sky. And that's been admitted by our governments that they use, nano-sized metallic, like aluminum and barium, et cetera. So you're breathing that in, and that's a neurologic poison. Of course, they've done the shots, which they call vaccines, which they have absolutely no purpose in us, but they do weaken us, our immune system. They introduce infections and poisons into the body, which are cancer causing, that our own governments admit they're cancer causing. So they cause autism and cancer and other things.
Yeah.
And we're willingly getting these shots. Our pharmaceutical industry, not one drug can cure you from anything unless you look at an antibiotic. Okay. But everything else, nothing, 250 to 300,000 drugs, not one can cure you. And that's by design, because there are things that can cure you and they hold it and withhold and you're not allowed to have it. The food is poison. That's why it's Food and Drug Administration in the United States, because the same companies that give you the drugs like Bayer, they're for pharmaceuticals, they're the ones that poison the food with Monsanto. So they poison you with the food and then they give you a drug to keep you sick. Yeah. I mean, it's insane that we still, that's why, I mean, when you learn the system, I don't care. I'm not going along with that. I'm not doing it. I'm not okay with that. I'm separating away, and it's possible to do that. Yeah. Poison us in our mind, all these subliminal messages, that the televisions keeping us in fear and panic and never in a state of joy and peace, which is where we're supposed to be. It's what the scripture says. Yeah. Keeping us dumbed down. The schools are forced to teach all the wrong subject. I mean, everything's wrong in every subject. Nothing is correct.
No.
So yeah, this is a slave system, guys. Wake up. Yeah, so what are you going to do about
it? And most people don't realize, people think the modern day pharmaceutical industry, if they go there, they see the doctor, that what they are being prescribed is going to heal them. What people don't realize, and what you did point out there, is the synthetic-based drugs are manufactured and designed deliberately to just mask the symptoms of what people have as the illness. The illness is never really cured. And it's never the intention to cure those illnesses. But this is such a wide-scale thing across that pharmaceutical industry that if people just got that into their heads alone, maybe they could start looking for a more health-based, and people call it alternative, but it's the original medicine in my mind. People should start looking to the original requirements of the human body for what it actually needs to heal, not just to be masked.
Yes, just about all medicines, their origin comes from a plant, but they don't, and plants have always been able to heal us of many things, but they can't make money on something natural. So what they would have to do is, when they found that a plant was beneficial, they would then look at the gene, and then they'd have to tweak it, synthesize it, so that they can patent and make money off of it. And of course, when you change it just a little bit, you then change the effect. It's not the same. It will have side effects. It won't be as good. So what that means is that we have everything in this world to make us better, to heal us. We don't need the pharmaceutical industry. It's been a big lie. It's just about money and making us sick and maintain sick to get the money from us. So we have to be brave enough to separate away and know that we don't need them. We need to start remembering who and what we are, and that we have everything we need on this planet. If we choose it.
Yeah, that's it. Now, it has been a while since we spoke, and last time we broke the ice on the ingredients and the effects of the vaccine. Have you found any more information recently as time passes by that brings light more to what people aren't aware of within these shots?
The main thing that I've seen with my own eyes and looking at them under the microscope is the nanotechnology. It's a superconducting material. So that's the main focus. Is just about any of the vials have at least a little bit or a lot of what we call the superconducting materials, like a liquefied computing system. So it's like putting little pieces of a computer inside the person. And the point is, eventually that can collect into a system inside your body where you are now a living, walking, smartphone, whatever.
Yeah.
And that means whenever you walk, anywhere you go, your body, regardless of how you're thinking or what permission you give, is communicating with any device around you or above you or below you. And so it's collecting data from you. That's surveillance, that's spying. And it's also using it for predictive programming and predictive policing, meaning it's designed to control your behavior in different ways. And then also, like the Minority Report, if they think you're critically thinking, you're a danger to society, the thought police will get you one way or the other. I mean, it's the ultimate of enslavement. They can actually influence what happens inside your body through impulses. It's a two-way street. It's a horrific way to be if they get what they want. This is just the beginning stages. We have a window of opportunity to not let that happen. And it's a cumulative process. And of course, these ingredients are obviously hurting and killing people, but that was their intention too, is to thin the herd out, called the culling, and then the rest of us just control like we're animals. But this is a choice we have, guys. I mean, it's either you go into that one world or you say no, and you choose that I am a living, breathing woman, daughter of God, and there's nothing you can do to get me over to that side. We are more powerful than we think. We are more powerful than we understand. But it's your choice.
That's it. But you've got to be in good frame of mind, good frame of health, and have the ability and the strength to move forward, to realize the power that we have. And for many, it's been a tough few years. I understand where people's heads have dropped. I understand where people have been coerced. I've understood where people feel that they needed to keep the jobs to move forward. And, I don't hold it against them that they went and did this, that their possible sacrifice in that regards, again, has been their choice. And I think that people moving forward, the more that understand this, the more that can grasp this, the better we are going to be moving forward. Now, talking about the nanotech within it, and obviously you've been able to see this yourself, were you able to do any testing or any other checks upon this nanotech to see how it reacts to certain conditions?
No, I did. We have, though, several different occasions with different vaccines. They're not vaccines, but vials. Taking a drop and put it on healthy blood under a microscope, and always there were strange formations that were created. Many of them looked like a spike protein. It's just strange, but a large size. So things happened. The blood would actually start to stagnate almost immediately, meaning it would start to clot really fast once this injection hit it. It changed the blood in a toxic way. It was like a poison hitting the blood. Okay. Also, there was some samples sent to somebody that is a genetic engineer, and she put these samples with different human cells, and they're called little wells, to see the effect on the cells from the injection. And she usually would look at it under a microscope, but she was horrified to find within a week that the cells grew at such an alarming rate that they were growing out of the well, meaning when a cell grows and multiplies that fast, that's out of control growth, which is another word for cancer.
Yeah.
So what she was seeing was the most horrific growth. She's never seen anything grow that fast before.
Yeah.
So these are poisons. It's nothing but a poison. These are poisons going in the body. Now, we're all different and we can all react differently. Nothing is, and they're all different kinds of batches. So even if you've had 1 or 2 or 3, if you realize now you made a mistake, it's never too late. I believe that. And I believe the power of prayer. Just don't do any more. And there's many different detoxes, but just don't keep getting them, it's a cumulative effect.
And like you were saying with the growth within that dish there, I don't know whether it's something you've noticed. I've certainly noticed it, but I've seen so many cases now, so many numbers of cases where aggressive cancer has come and within a few weeks people are dead. And I don't ever remember in my lifetime's history ever seeing such aggressive cases that will kill people so quick. And most people just seem to think that that's normal.
Yeah, well, look at all these professional athletes just dropping dead on the field. Like at least 1,100 professional athletes in 1 year dropping dead on the field and dead within a millisecond.
Yeah.
That's not normal. No, that does not happen like that. This is absolutely absurd. And yet we have people they're pretending like that's normal. And it's not normal for sudden death adult syndrome where a person that's in their 20s and their teens or their 30s or whatever just doesn't wake up and they've had no prior history of any medical issues. Yeah. This is happening all the time. And somehow people think it's just okay. It's just the way people are they're dealing with this stress. I guess if they've had the shots, if they acknowledge that the shot did those things, they couldn't, I guess in their mind, think they couldn't handle it for themselves, not then wondering what's going to happen to them. But, ignoring it, putting your head in the sand doesn't make it better. At least speaking out about it, it can save yourself and others, because this is when we stop these coercion and manipulation to have these poison shots inside of people. And also it will help bring about the ability to find treatments for these things. I mean, we have some things what we do here and there for people, but we need something grand and large scale, which is possible. Of course it is. But saying nothing makes it worse. It's about, speaking up.
Yeah, that's it. And people don't realize just having that ability to speak up, having that ability to just not dismiss things and question things is most likely what's going to save them and their family and friends and loved ones moving forward in the future. And that is all we're asking people to do. Just take a look at why so many people are speaking out. Take a look at why over 17,000 doctors, scientists, and medical experts are choosing to put their jobs on the line to speak out. Why there are so many sudden deaths. It's not something that we're just making up for the fun of it. It's not something that we're just going to say, oh, won't this make a great conspiracy theory for people to look at? This is real life. This is exactly what's going on out there. And people who choose to ignore it are going to do so at their own peril. And, I do care about it. I don't want to see that happen in humanity. But I also have to question, where do we draw the line on how far we go? Are we going to continue to preach to the masses? Are we going to continue to fall upon deaf ears? Or are we actually still making a difference? And sometimes I sit there and think about this and wonder, are we heading in the right direction? What can we do to really make this difference? What can we do to make this change? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of tired of just talking about this all the time. I'm really tired of it. I mean, it's enough information out there, guys. It's bad. I mean, we can start to nitpick about the ingredients and things like that, but does it really even matter? At this point, it's just, we know it's bad. We know that there's a worldwide operation going on. We know that you can't trust any of these politicians or people that are in power. Okay, then let's go and start talking about what to do. And like I said, separating from the system, from the slave system, lawfully and legally, and understanding how we became, we were born slaves, how that happened, and what we can do.
Yeah.
And knowing that we can't do this without God, absolutely not. And knowing that the scriptures back up what I'm saying with separating away as a slave, that's key. Knowing how to go back to, okay, the local farmers, the local growers, making connections. It takes a village, right? We all have our skill sets. We're going to have to move away and start being big people and growing up. And also stating authority and dominion with power, with conviction. I mean, people don't realize the power of a word. I tell people this story. I had good teachers in elementary school. We didn't have much money, but the schools were good. And so in second grade, the teacher gave our class these seedlings, like little tiny, they're maybe 7 days old or whatever. So one group, we were told with our whole intention, with everything we had, to just hate the plants and say the worst things to them, that you're ugly, you'll never make it, kind of thing. The middle plants, nothing. The ones on the right, we said, you are the most intelligent, God loves you, we love you, you're so beautiful. And to say it with everything in our body, we were coached, now you got to say this like you really mean it. And so kids are more pure with their intention. So a month later, I remember this because my teacher, Miss Binder, came up and she said, I never thought this was going to work, because there's drastic differences in the seedlings. The ones we said wonderful things to were blossoming and great. The ones in the middle were okay. The ones that we said ugly things to were actually had brown and wilting. Did everything the same. It's only our words and our intention. Okay, so think about that. If those plants can pick up on that energy, what are you doing to yourself? If you just say, well, I guess I'm a slave, I'm just a victim, you are a slave and victim. No matter what they do, you are. If you say, no, I am a daughter of God, this will not go on, and I'm going to put you on notice because now you are my employee, I am the original grantor, and this is how it goes down. That is a totally different force field that goes out. And so we have 12 of us that do that. Imagine that.
Yeah, we did a very similar experiment based on the work of Dr. Masaru Emoto, who also found that water, and you consider the amount of water that we're made up within our body. We did experiments here with the kids showing how emotion, how using very similar words and techniques that you were talking about with the plant caused the difference in the water itself. And we used 2 separate bottles of water with rice in, and the one bottle decayed to a pungent, horrible smell, while the other water remained fresh. And this again was just by directing words and emotion and hate or love to each of these bottles of water, and the results spoke for themselves. And as you say, it shows not only the power of word, but also the power of intent, emotion. And if it can have it on water, it can have it on plants. It's going to have it on everything that holds an energetic signature in that regard. And it is a really great experiment if somebody wants to try that themselves.
Yeah, people should see it with their own eyes, because they need to realize that this is the key of what happens to you personally, what happens to us collectively. We're supposed to grow up right now and stop being babies and slaves. We're supposed to grow up spiritually. This is why this is happening. We asked for this. When we gave up all of our, authority and autonomy to these public officials, what do you think is going to happen? When you blindly let them do whatever, and you let go of your authority and dominion over your own body, your family, your country, your land, your world, what do you think is going to happen? This is exactly what you can expect. So you can't allow that to happen. You have to claim authority and dominion, and grow up about it. It's people used to do this. It's not like it's a foreign concept.
Yeah, and people need to stop waiting for somebody else to come and save them. Look into presidents and governments and other groups of people and, Q and whatever it is that people are finding that, well, I don't have to do anything. I'll be fine because this other group of people are going to save me. It doesn't work like that at all.
No, there's nobody going to come in and say, look, we've been doing behind the scenes for you. No, it'll be a trick if they are. It'll be, and they say they're coming from some spaceship and they're benevolent and they're here to help us. Don't trust them. Don't get on their spaceship. I mean, honestly, this is about us. We did it to ourselves, and it's about us saying the jail cell is open. Now, what are you going to do? You're going to stay or you're going to go? Yeah. It's really that simple, and it takes someone who's grown up to be responsible and have authority. What are you doing for yourself? If you keep choosing to be a slave and let something happen to you, it's going to be bad. It's never going to be good. Yeah. So start making baby steps. It's like, start learning our real history, start connecting with like-minded people, start cooking at home, learning where your local growers are, homeschooling your kids. I mean, the public schools are always awful. They're never going to be okay. The longer you keep your kids in, the worse it is. Got ways to brainwash them in ways that you can't fathom. It is a very dangerous place for your kids. So these are the steps you start taking. Start praying, reading the Bible, because the church has been teaching people the wrong things the whole time. Very few churches have taught the real scripture. So when you start reading it yourself with your own eyes, your own ears and heart, wow, it's a whole new world that opens up. Yeah. It's powerful.
Let's talk about the power of the mind and having the right tools at hand. Your own healing after the crash was undertaken using, as I call it before, the original medicine. What did you use exactly? And what was the combination of determination, the right products to get you where you are today? Because you have made an incredible recovery. You were told by doctors at the beginning that it was likely that you would never walk again. So for you to be here today, to be in the mood, the frame of mind, the health, the wellness that you were in, can you talk us through what you did to make your recovery such a great recovery to where it is now?
Well, the very first thing is I was praying to God, and that's powerful because I'm always talking to God, and I know that there was divine intervention for sure with many things that happened at that crash. So a lot of miracles happened. And then also the power of my mind, because, I was determined to always make sure we're going to get out of this and be okay. And then, of course, when they said I was in the emergency room, they thought I was going to be paralyzed from the mid-thoracic down. Immediately, I was like, no, not happening, not my history. I did not go through that just to be paralyzed. And I knew that was just not going to happen. It's the power of my mind. And then, of course, after that, people started to be aware that there was a plane crash and started praying. And the power of the prayers, absolutely, that works, because within 2-3 hours after that, the same doctors came in the room, my intensive care room, and said, well, we don't know what happened. We took a look at your scans again, the same ones. And I guess we all looked at the wrong, because you're going to be fine. There's no way you're going to be paralyzed, so took you off neuro checks. Yeah. Feeling people coming in, praying and putting their hands, laying on of hands. I could feel this supernatural energy go through my body I've never felt before. We have the ability and the power to do that. So we need to start doing that again. I could feel the prayers. That's really what started the healing process. I mean, I can't describe that amazing feeling. It was definitely supernatural. And then also the world of energy medicine is now becoming more available to people. So things like scalar wave, EE energy, that's actually, you can sit in a room, and they are computer screens, but they're programmed to put certain frequencies and light out. and they're situated at a certain angle from each other. So in the middle, there is a toroidal field made that is in harmony with how our bodies are. So it just allows the energy around it so that your body can do what it already knows what to do. So you can feel a difference even in an hour of being around something like that. You're sitting in the room. Things like the beamer pad, which is pulsed electromagnetic frequency, it helps stimulate the small blood vessels to contract and relax, as well as helping with the white blood cells, the immune system. It's a natural way to decrease pain and inflammation. I'll also different things. I used a little bit of homeopathics. Those were great with arnica. That helped quite a bit. And also something called a Juvent plate, which you're standing on, and it gives micro impacts. It's very specific for you, each individual that stands on it. That helped me get mobile really quickly, decreased pain. It actually stimulates your stem cells, increases them by 40%. It can reverse osteoporosis by up to 11%, which is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Many other things like that. It heals broken bones faster.
And what's that plate called? Sorry.
Juvent, Juvent, Juvent. You stand on it. But I mean, there's nothing that I know that can reverse osteoporosis like that. That's quite amazing.
Yeah.
And I had a little bit of something called a cold laser by Theralase. That's very helpful as well. And there's LifeWave patches. I've known about them for a while, but I didn't have a need for them. But during my healing process, they help with my strength quite well. So those were really good. They're little stickers that actually use the crystals, and they're fine. So what they do is when you put them on your skin, your body heat is a type of light. So that light goes to the crystal and bounces back. When it bounces back at a certain frequency, it stimulates certain cells. So the most important one is the stem cells. And so you can feel a difference. Some people know their energy's up. Some people are sensitive in a day. I mean, but I could see over a week, my stamina with my muscle strength was definitely improved with that. It also helped, strangely enough, regulate my cravings for food too. But that was important for me for my muscle strength to be improved. So that was really good too.
Yeah. So you're used to doing multiple interviews every day and have been for some time now. But you had obviously quite some downtime away from interviews and videos because of the crash. How do you feel about doing interviews now? And did the time away give you any kind of new outlook on how you want to move forward with what you want to do?
Well, like I said before, I'm focused on, solutions, not just talking about it. So don't talk on the interviews as much now. I feel like it's the same stuff. It's really more about educating people about how to even, not just the way you think, but how in our physical world, how we move forward into not being a slave anymore. I truly believe that is imperative for everybody to know. And it is the only way in my mind that we can truly make a parallel system. Yeah. Because if we're still declared slaves, a slave is not going to get anywhere. They can lie to us, they can make us believe it, but in the end, guys, we can't. And we can't continue to be in a world that condemns killing people and maiming them and euthanasia and pedophilia. You cannot be a part of that world, which is the world of Satan and Babylon.
Yeah.
You can't.
No.
You can't do it. You've got to separate away and be in the kingdom of God. There's only two worlds. There's not three. There's only two. And so it is imperative that people get that, so they can truly start working towards whatever they want, whatever they choose. So that's where a lot of my focus is going. And also knowing that we have to have that parallel health system, and that the only way to do it is to declare ourselves separate from them. And that's what I've been working on. It's the big thing working on. And the next thing is, I have been traveling and meeting people in person. I've had this calling that, we can talk like this on Zoom, but it's nothing compared to when you're face to face with each other.
No.
The energy exchange, or something important about that. So I've been called to in the next 2 months, I'll be doing a lot more traveling. So to me, it's like gathering your tribe, and when the time comes, we'll know what to do.
Yeah, no, that's it. Absolutely. Now, you mentioned there about the demonic things that have been going on. Society deems gender reassignment of children to be the accepted norm currently. What's your view on this? And why do you also think there is such a huge push on this through the media and many different, governments and governing bodies to make sure that this happens for people? Where do you think that all lies?
It's demonic. It's satanic. It's to destroy anything in God's image. Anything that makes you in God's image. It is to make a blasphemy inversion of it, and then to make you so that you don't even know that you are an individual, who you are, what you are. The whole key is to remember who and what we are and how brilliant we are. We choose it. We are of a royal priesthood if we choose it.
Yeah.
I mean, to destroy everything in God's image, this is definitely a demonic ploy. And then you won't even know who and what you are. You'll just let anything happen to you. I mean, everybody that goes through these things, they have such a crush on their self-esteem. They're sad, they're depressed, they're suicidal, they're worse. They're not better. They admit that. They destroy themselves. Everything in that we stand and not see a word is complicit in this. It is not good that we just say nothing about it and condone it. Take your child out of school where they're putting after school Satan program. Don't even let them go near the building. If there are no kids in the school, they can't do it. I mean, it's simple as that. The parents drive me crazy. You let your kid go to school when they're doing, letting them read these horrific books. They're teaching them the wrong things. They're, embracing transgender. They have a dog and a cat now in these schools around here with litter boxes inside the schools. You still let your child go there? No, take your kid out. In a week, they will drop that and let your kids back in. I promise you, because then you have the power.
Yeah.
This is the insanity that I can't get through my head. Why do people just allow it to happen? You're part of the problem.
Yeah.
This is the problem. We have to be growing up, right? I mean, we've been too nice to everybody. Oh, well, they don't want to disturb anybody. Oh, well, let me hold their hand. No, stop it. No, it's wrong is wrong. Take your kid out. Oh, it's going to disrupt your day. So what? It's your child. You were given a beautiful gift of a life. That means you should do so much for them. So what if you're sacrificing some of your time? You get together with other parents. You can do this. Anyone can do this. Don't let your kid go to these schools, and you make a statement, pull them out.
But it's not just in the schools as well. I work for a rather large banking corporation, and part of the mandatory training for staff were these tests that we had to sit down. Might take an hour to go through. If you didn't pass, you did it again, and they would be on. They started off with it being diversity and inclusion and how we had to bring everyone together, but it's gone beyond that now. And if this is what they're also teaching to adults in the workplace, which I imagine a lot of people who are watching this may say, we get the same bullshit training in our workplace as well. But people are afraid to speak up. I wasn't. I always used to rock the boat. I used to say, why are we doing this? This is ridiculous. This has nothing to do with my work or any bearing on what I do as a professional. And at the end of the day, people weren't prepared to stand behind me. They were prepared to tell me later on after a meeting, oh, yeah, I agree with what you said there. And I'd say to them, well, why didn't you speak up? Why was I the only one there to say that this is wrong? We shouldn't be doing this. And this seems to be the attitude of many people, that they don't want to rock the boat. They do want to keep the peace. They just want to keep the job, and they just want a simple life. But times are changing that much.
They're stupid. They're stupid because it won't stop. You think that if you condone and give in to them, that it'll make your life okay. People have no idea the plans ahead for them. Every time you give in to them, they know they have you and they know they've got you. And then the next thing that will happen will be worse. And before you know it, you will truly be in the worst living hell.
Yeah.
This is a wrong way to, there's no way to make these psychopaths happy. No, they love pain. They love trauma. They love to make you upset. They love to make you oppressed and suppressed. It will never stop, especially if you don't speak up. This is the worst thing that people do.
Yeah.
And every time someone's had something where they left their job fired them, which is almost never, because it's usually just an empty threat. It's usually empty threat. But the rare occasions, they've always told me they're so much happier because they got something even better. And so do the right thing. Always do the right thing and it'll never go wrong.
Yeah, no, that's it. Now, Dr. Fauci is leaving his position in a timely fashion. Will it be business as usual once he is replaced? And should he still be held accountable for what he's done so far?
Oh, he's just another figurehead behind everything. I mean, he's not the person, right? Everything still goes on. I mean, whatever they do with him is just a diversion for everybody. I mean, of course, everybody needs to be accountable for their actions, but he's not the real problem. It's people that we don't see.
Yeah, he just plays along to the tune, and obviously to the tune of several million. But you know, he just seems to get away with it. I was really surprised that more people didn't become aware of what was going on based on the book that was written about Dr. Fauci and, you know, how he actually is in his true life. I thought that would have made a huge impact. I know that there was a lot of people talking about it when it came out, but again, it's almost like people don't want to hear bad news. So by ignoring it, they just think that the bad news goes away.
As long as they have their creature comforts, they won't do anything, will they?
That's true.
I'm not expecting anyone to do anything until some of their creature comforts are affected.
Yeah, and this may lay a perfect explanation to why we're seeing the likes of the stock market, the supply chain, and everything disrupted. But, you know, it's being manipulated to an extent that at any time they can pull the trigger on that, collapse a financial system, make people's lives really bad. But maybe they're propping that system up because they know that if people don't have those creature comforts that you spoke about, that they will then possibly rebel against the system that has put them into that form of oppression.
Yeah, it's just playing a game. They're pushing it to see how docile the people are, to see how fast they can go. I mean, this is all a game to see who's going to conform completely. So it's right now is the easiest time to speak up and to do something about it. It's, you know, again, I only speak as well as you do for the people with the eyes to see and the ears to hear.
Yeah.
The majority of the people do not have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. And I know that at some near future point, we won't be able to live together because the views will be so different. We won't be able to live together. Let's put it that way. And we just have to be prepared for that day. And that's the smart and wise thing to do.
But the easy thing is, and it's not difficult for people to do, the people who are watching the podcast interview today, you know, all we're saying is share it, spread it round, let people listen to these conversations. It might not be somebody that is like-minded to us, but the fact that it lands in their inbox, it might annoy them. It might upset them. Some might watch it. That's all we need to do. It's spreading the words and the information around to people in order for them to, again, you know, take, as I say, take the baton and run with it. They can choose to do something with it. And if that is the only responsibility that we're asking of people, that they start spreading the word, the conversation, the information, I don't think that's too difficult of an ask on people. And it's so easy, you know, they spend most of the time photographing the lunch and spreading it around social media anyway. Why can't they just take something that is important, whether they ridicule what we say or whether they take on board what they say? It doesn't matter as long as that information sits there, because I'm a firm believer that the small seeds that are planted in the minds of people can grow into wonderful things over the future.
Yeah. Amen. I believe
Yeah.
that too. Just take small baby steps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, let's quickly talk about the ability of people to shed and possibly pass on the nanotechnology to the unvaccinated people from those who have this now in their blood. Is this something that is happening? Is this something that's being recorded and seen?
We just mostly have anecdotal, but the Millions Against Medical Mandates, they did a nice, kind of study on people, the women in particular, that had bleeding issues from being in contact with people that had been injected. So we know something's happening. We know Pfizer admits that. What is it exactly? We don't know. It's probably twofold: a transmission of like an EMF or radio frequency. So people register high on a EMF meter after they get the injection for at least 6 to 8 weeks. They're actually radiating something off.
Yeah.
And then also something physical, which is probably a synthetic particle that they call the spike protein. And they're just little particles that are toxic. They're inflammatory. So how you're affected depends on your body, your terrain, how healthy you are. It's body, mind, and spirit. If you think it can affect you too, right?
Yeah.
If you're panicked about it, you're going to get worse. If you're fearful, you're going to get worse. If you're not fearful, you'll be better. We see that all the time. And then also how healthy your body is, detoxing and feeding your body good, clean food. So I just go around. I don't freak out about it. I try to keep myself healthy and putting on the armor of God, I call it. And that helps a lot. When in the beginning, when I let that fear get in for a tiny bit, I did get sick around them. And then I said, this is stupid. This is in my head. And the second, I changed my ideas and thoughts, it helped dramatically. A lot of it was in my head.
Yeah.
So, I'm not afraid of anything they put out. It's just knowing that if we understand our real nature of who and what we are, we should not fear what this world has.
Yeah, absolutely. Medical wise, from the authorities now, how much pressure are the medical authoritarians putting on you these days? Have they left you alone, or are they still coming back at you trying to cause problems?
Oh no, it's always problems, but this is why I'm in the process of separating away from them and telling them that I won't be part of their death cult anymore. It's the only way, and that they do not have the ability or the right to take away my ability to make a living, and also that I will still use my healing gifts that God has given me. And in the example of Yeshua, the apostles and the prophets, meaning I'm a living, breathing woman. You can't stop me from helping other people. I'm separating away from your licensing and all that as well. So it's a process, and we need more to do that. Other physicians are doing that as well. So,
and in using the word itself, the power of the word, have you been able to send any letters out to individuals themselves, holding them personally accountable for their actions in regards to things that they are trying to force upon you?
It's called more put people on notice, but
Yep.
I'm not fighting anybody. I'm leaving that system. It's a totally different thing.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm going to live in the kingdom of God and doing it this way. And, this life is just a temporary life, whatever. I know where I'm going, but I'm not going to live as a slave anymore. And it's not even worth fighting these people. They stand for death. They don't stand for life. They serve another God, a little g God. I am not of that world. I leave that world. That's how I live.
Yeah. So this has been an absolutely incredible interview again, and I'm really happy to see you back with us. Before you go, if you could do one thing in 2023 that can change the world, what would it be?
Oh, like I've said, this whole interview is to get people to recognize that we've been slaves, and to know that they can step into the kingdom of God and leave the slave system. They can do it on their own, every single person, if they start learning about the power of the words, if they start learning the real history, and they start owning the words. The word is powerful as you breathe it out, as you say it, and the whole belief. We literally can change the seedlings as little children. What do you think you can do to your own body? What do you think you can do around us? When you're doing that, we can heal ourselves, we can heal others, even with the power of word and intention. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And so that's what I pray, that spreads like wildfire.
Yeah. So people are going to see this video. Some people may be discovering you for the first time, and they're kind of watching this saying, hey, this is great. What a great interview. I want to know more about who this lady is and what she does. Where can people look up and find Dr. Carrie Madej and get the best information and source of what you do?
My webpage is just my first and last name.com. So carriemadej.com. And I have Tuesday Zoom meetings, live Q&A on there with different speakers, and have free downloadable resources on detoxing, etc. So that's the easiest way to find me.
Yeah, some incredible resources there for people to find and use. And again, these become part of your toolbox moving forward for your own personal growth. And I hope people can share this, get it out there. As we always say here on the Atlantic Underground podcast, believe nothing and question everything. And I'd like to thank you once again for coming on with us today. I'm really glad to see you back on your feet, on the mend, pushing forward and holding that light for many people to follow. And it's been great to have you again, Carrie. I appreciate you being on, and I'd like to say thank you very much once more.
Thanks, Chris. It's my pleasure, honor, and duty to be here. So always great to talk with you.
That's great. So everyone, please get this shared out there. This is important. There's a lot of great information and new stuff coming to light here. It's great to catch up with what Carrie's done. Thanks for watching. Let's get this out there. Let's share it. Thank you very much, everyone, and take care. Thank you.